It is hard to imagine another Japanese gaming franchise as big as this. Final Fantasy has always dominated the early Sony systems. Originally released in 1997 on the PS1, it caused an absolute storm, featuring 3D graphics for the first time in the series. This is what Cloud looked like. It was spread over 3 discs. I was blown away by it. I didn't quite realise that we were potentially seeing the most popular and favoured Final Fantasy game of the entire series. Let's have a quick listen to that sublime title screen music. This remake was released in 2020 on the PS4. That is the version you're technically looking at. Then they rolled out a brilliant PS5 upgrade, given to us for free, which I thought was an awesome gesture, and it vastly improved a lot of the resolution, frame rates, and visual feel of the game. Other than the story, the setting, and the characters, the remake is technically a completely different game. It's almost a real-time action ARPG. They've implemented this system for the following remakes, Integrate and Rebirth, and I personally absolutely love it. Not only is it a huge graphical flex, flashy, loud and dramatic, it's also tactically amazing, a little bit like the Dragon Age series, pausing everything, being able to flip through characters, use specials directly from everyone and really get a feel for what they are all capable of. The game operates on a chapter system, very much like the original. You're partnered up with whoever is within that story at the time. An incredible job with the camera here to avoid any unnecessary indignity on Tifa's behalf.
Don't look at the fan, whatever you do.
Right.
The chapters also switch out quite vastly who you'll be fighting and in what arena or level you'll be fighting them in. This has got a list of enemies that's well above 70. That's not even counting the variants and different epic types. There's even an ability that allows you to identify them for increased damage. This gives you information on elements that they may be vulnerable to. It's very handy to know a lot about your enemy.
Not throwing in the towel. This can't be how it ends.
It's also very far from click X to progress. A lot of JRPGs get tired of that brushes that you can just keep clicking the same button, get everything done. You do have to think about things. You do have to switch out characters. I was looking into putting the AI on maybe a defensive status so they heal each other, but the game leans away from that. It wants you to get involved with everybody, and it wants you to get involved in this what could be considered quite complicated upgrade galaxy I'm going to go with. Let's talk about this combat. You may have played a little game called Expedition 33. It caused a bit of a storm because it's Western made, but exists to a lot of the JRPG rules. They integrated a real-time parry mechanic, which was really interesting, kept you on your toes during the fights. This remake features something similar. You have a guard button, and you can actually whack that on in time and get a good damage dealing window afterwards. Your weapon also has 2 modes, one dealing a lot of damage but leaving you quite stationary, and the other just being a standard hack and slash. There's also a window of deflect on the change of these 2 modes.
Brace yourself. Get ready. All clear.
Now you might be thinking, this sounds like an absolute nightmare, switching things out, stopping, starting, but it's surprisingly user friendly. On the R2 and L2 buttons, you can go to your other characters' specials, get them to use them whilst you are still remaining as your main character choice. You don't actually have to go into the shoes of that damage dealing character at that particular time. You just need to keep an eye on their meters, and when they're ready to produce something, you can allocate it. Kudos for having really awesome mid-tier and main boss entry sequences.
Hear that? Bring it!
All of this could have so easily gone really wrong and ruined the feel of the game. If you're aware of the original, it's very much arena based, everything stops, you're on that one screen, everyone's present at the bottom. If anything, Expedition obeys that format more. But this has been nothing but a success story. Rebirth, Integrate also obey that same rule, and it just looks fantastic, and it feels like you're altering the battle in real time in a 3D space and not a locked static arena. The crazy summons also deserve a mention, being one of the most unbelievably flashy things about the whole video game. They come via a particular type of materia, and you slot that into a character that's normally your main. They also work in conjunction with the whole team and have some manual options to deliver damage. They were also pretty spectacular back in the day, I seem to remember. And apologies, the HDR's gone a bit crazy on this scene.
This one right here is for the flesh. Don't look now, but it's about to get real.
Other sort of modern Final Fantasy games prior to this remake do also stand out to me. I thoroughly enjoyed 13, and that's one of the things that Rebirth and Integrate deal with, is giving you a bit more space and not being as rousy and mission chapter structured. They 100% needed to do that, I think, to keep the whole game's structure intact. It's got one of the more interesting and turbulent stories of the entire series. I think that's also why it's deemed as one of the more popular. Quite a lot happens in Final Fantasy VII, and there's also some of the most memorable scenes in the entire franchise.
Ah, he lives. Finally awake, are we?
You're...
Aerith.
I think coupled with that story is the introduction to some of the more iconic characters in the entire series as well. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to put this video together. There's been a lot of JRPG water under the bridge since 2020, and going back to this sort of fresh in 2026, I thought it may have lost some of its charm, but totally not. I played quite a bit of that Metaphor, obviously Expedition, looked at but not finished, so that's something that's still due on the PS5 on this channel.
You heard the lady. I'll make this quick.
You better.
Why have you got the English dub on, I hear you ask? You know the channel, you know I'm a bit of a purist when it comes to language and Japanese games. I normally test the Western language first to see how it sits with me, and this remake is perfect. There's some dub work out there that's horrendous. Thankfully, Final Fantasy VII Remake is not one of them.
I'll end this. You're as good as dead.
Switching out the party size and who's in it, dependent on where you are with that story, is quite enjoyable. Getting to play as the other characters as well at the click of a button and get your head round some of the mage moves was really interesting against Cloud's brawling and some of the range material. And as mentioned before, with the environment switch out, you always get a different set of enemies indigenous to that section of game, and they will be really unique and awesome. Some of them are very funny looking, and identifying them, categorizing them all in that bestiary is quite a lot of fun.
Don't catch a cold.
Where is the best place to play this game currently? Well, it is still a staunch Sony exclusive. It is currently on a 50% discount, sitting at around 15 quid, but it's on extra, so you can look at that for next to nothing, along with the other subscription games.
Nothing to it.
Is it your favourite Final Fantasy of all time? It certainly is in the top echelons for me. Some of the cutscenes and intros and rework with this remake are eye-poppingly good. Great to see this universe, this angle of story shown with so much graphical fidelity. Probably should have declared this at the beginning, but this game does have two modes, performance and quality, and the whole time you were looking at the quality mode, the performance does boast 60 FPS, but at no point in any of those boss fights did I feel I needed to get those frames up, and of course you get to enjoy 4K in that high resolution mode. That PS4 version, I'm pretty sure, came with some pro enhancements, but I don't remember it being a big offender on the performance front all the way back then. I'm so glad I got to do a standalone video for this game. I want to do Integrate and Rebirth at some point, and thank you very much for getting to this section of the video. My name was of course CouchCoop, and I look forward to seeing you down there.
There you go. That's my house.
It's amazing.
What was that?